Hello, viewers. I'm not really sure what happened technically, uh, but we'll go ahead and continue. So I was talking about the golf subsidy study. Golf is actually doing a lot better under COVID than we initially planned. And it'll actually surpass our budget estimates. So the report was very good. It laid out some of the infrastructure needs for our golf courses. There's some aging issues, some course green issues that we need to deal with. So we'll have more discussions in the upcoming months, but I think it's positive overall. Santa Clara, the city of Santa Clara closed down their golf course, and conceivably we get more people that will want to play golf going forward. In the main meeting, we started off with special orders of the day. One was National Picture Month, and I think the our youth definitely love our picture book videos, and so I think that's always positive. It's one of the most used components of our Sunnyvale library. We also declared Saturday, November 27th as Small Business Saturday, so that's the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So if you can shop local, definitely do your part. And then as far as the main meeting, we did a resolution against a resolution for United Against Hate Week, and we proclaimed that as November 14th through the 20th. And so there was a rally in Los Gatos last weekend, and I was happy to take part in that. But the city overall condemns, hate, violence, bigotry in all forms. There's been really an amazing and a surprising uptick in hate crimes and incidents in the Bay Area and throughout the United States over the last few years. But we reaffirmed the city's commitment to the safety of all of our diverse community. And then council approved an art master plan project that would have prefabricated sculptures modified by artists, and these would be like the hearts in San Francisco and the sharks in San Jose. But it will be good to have more art in our community. And then we updated some ordinances for SB 1383. It's a state law dealing with recycling and waste diversion. And so lots of laws trying to push multi-family food cycle, other things that we can do from a code standpoint to make sure that that we're actively diverting as much trash as possible from the landfill. Last Tuesday evening, Santa Clara City Council also met, and ultimately they voted unanimously actually to reject the White Oak Lane proposal. And so this was one of the Life Moves projects that was right on the Sunnyvale border, right next to some residential areas. It was also right on Lawrence Expressway and kind of a busy corner where a lot of traffic goes through. So I wasn't completely sure that that was the best place for housing in general, but definitely it was a question from a certain standpoint, a question that the city of Santa Clara had done zero outreach before this becoming a big issue in the community, as opposed to Mountain View doing lots of outreach on like the Crestview Hotel, which was converted into or that is being converted by the county into long-term housing. So this was basically a lack of transparency, a lack of outreach in the meeting or of the council in the city staff from a Santa Clara standpoint in general. And so finally, I was happy to see that at least they decided to continue working with Life Moves, like we're working with Life Moves, looking for suitable location for unhoused in the community, but hopefully they'll learn their lesson and do a little more community outreach before it becoming a big issue in the community. Last Wednesday, the Governor Newsom reappeared after being absent for several weeks and not going to the COP conference. But Governor Newsom basically, the biggest thing was he extended the timeline for the state of emergency. So for the third time, because of the COVID emergency, he extended it this time to March 31st, 2022. So at this point, it'll be in place for over 2 years. The first declaration was March 2nd in 2020. So, the governor really pointed out that cases have begun to rise across across California, across the U.S., especially in Southern California, Central Valley. The infection rates are dramatically higher. And last year we didn't have much of a flu season, and definitely the governor was pointing out that this year the flu season might be that much worse, and declare the concerns about a possible twindemic between COVID and the flu. We'll see how that takes place. I do think that wearing masks, people in the habit of wearing masks, washing their hands will conceivably reduce some of that flu season. Definitely get your flu shot. I got my flu shot earlier this week. And then last Wednesday, Santa Clara County health officials announced that they would give the adult vaccinated 6 or more months another dose. So giving a booster to pretty much any adult. And this put Santa Clara at the forefront of battling the virus. That more generous interpretation of what the federal and state booster eligibility guidelines are basically is trying to get the booster and increase immunity for as many people as possible. So, I've got my booster shot. Definitely, there are a lot of places to get in the county. So, get your booster if you haven't already. Last Thursday evening, Sunnyvale Redistricting Commission met and finally gave the full 2020 census data. It was released. The city population is 156,034. Of the districts, District 2 grew the most, District 3 shrank a little bit, and then, the Districting Commission is now taking maps from residents, creating maps of their own, trying to redo those district boundaries as much as possible. They've heard from communities of interest, and so if you want to take part in that, you can go to sunnyvale.ca.gov/redistricting and define what those new boundaries will be for the next 10 years based upon our census. On Monday of this week, President Biden signed the infrastructure bill. Lots of fanfare, and it was really good to see that bipartisan package being passed. Definitely, it's good for the country. I think there's a lot of good portions of that bill trying to improve some aging infrastructure around the U.S. And I think whether or not focusing on bridges and roads and broadband, all those are critical infrastructure for our residents to make sure that things are done well. And I'm happy that part of that package is the Evelyn Trail. So I know that was part of the original bill. I haven't read the long infrastructure bill, but supposedly there's funding for Sunnyvale in there. So I thank Congressman Connor for that. And then on Tuesday, Council had a study session to review several things. So we had a study session to review housing laws, and there's lots of good discussion, and I think that presentation was really good for those of you that kind of wanted a refresher on our state housing laws. They've tried a lot of things to streamline the housing process, and that really wasn't an issue in Sunnyvale, but they also allow developers to exempt a lot of our local city code, ask for waivers, asking for basically, to completely exempt operations. And, we had some direction, but there are things that we'll be putting in place to match up with a lot of the state housing laws later. I think it'll be some emergency ordinances that we'll be putting in place at the beginning of January. That evening, we also interviewed 4 new applicants for the Planning Commission because we had one empty position. And then we also had a joint meeting with the chair and vice chairs of all of our boards and commissions. So I think it was a good evening, kind of focused on the future as well as trying to deal with some board and commission questions, as well as making sure that we're rolling out some changes to our boards and commissions, and making sure that the chairs and vice chairs understood all of that. And then on Wednesday, Governor Newsom had a press conference. I think it was in Kings County. So he basically wanted to, warn the residents about a potentially devastating winter surge again of COVID cases. He called for all Californians 18 and older to get their booster shots. So it definitely, that uptick has increased around the state, and so definitely whatever we can do from a vaccine standpoint to prepare for the winter, to make sure that people feel safer. Hopefully things will look good. Hopefully we won't have to go into a bigger lockdown. Let's go ahead and get to the weekly COVID numbers. COVID cases, and as far as latest breaking events, it looked like the House, just before this meeting, the House just voted on the Build Back Better infrastructure bill, so it now needs to go to the Senate. Let's get to the COVID numbers. From a national standpoint, things are definitely surging. We have now had 47.3 million cases. That's 700,000 new cases just in the last week. That's up from 500,000 for the last few weeks. So definitely we're seeing a greater number of cases as far as that's concerned. Nationally, we've had over 228 million vaccinated with at least one dose. That's 82% of adults, and about with one dose, and 70% of adults that are fully vaccinated. And then as far as deaths, we've had 764,000 deaths, another 9,000 just in the last week related to COVID-19. That will definitely pass, looks like that'll probably surpass 750,000 cases sometime in the next week or so. So, definitely take care, be careful, and get your shot if you can. From a California standpoint, we've had 4.7 million positive cases. We're getting about 5,000 cases a day now, so that's about the same as last week, but it's still 5,000 new cases. So it's a lot higher than it was just last month. And then California has had almost 73,000 fatalities, another 500 deaths just in the last week. On a positive note, we've had 56 million vaccines administered, over 2 million just in the last week, and that's mainly with a push for boosters and kids that between 5 and 11 that can now get vaccinated. If we're still at number 9 on states with at least one shot at 77%, and number 16 with residents that are fully vaccinated at 62%. The county does a fantastic job, getting people tested and vaccinated. They've now, from a cumulative case count, we're up to almost 149,000, and that's up about 1,000 in the last week. So we're having about 1,000 a week now, and we've had 1,887 deaths, another 11 deaths related to COVID just in the last week. So people are still getting COVID, people are still dying from COVID. 95% of our county residents, 18 and older, have at least one dose, and 90% of those 18 and older are fully vaccinated. So that's fantastic, to reach those 90% thresholds for adults, and those 5 through 17 are rapidly getting their doses. So definitely it's looking pretty good from a county standpoint. I continue to do a lot of advocating on our city's behalf, especially at the county level, talking to county health and talking to our county board of supervisors for testing. The county is testing, doing free testing in Sunnyvale at the Sunnyvale Community Center on the first and third Thursdays of the month. So they were here yesterday. and it's from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And they'll be back on December 2nd. So you can make your appointments about 7 days ahead of that date, and then when appointments are have run out, then you can't. Then if those appointments are, then that site is removed as a possible appointment location. And then as far as getting vaccinated, you know, the county has drop-in vaccination clinics all over the county. That's where I got my vaccine or my booster shot earlier this week, but you can go to scfreevax.org to get a listing of all those locations around the county. And El Dorado Mobile Home community had their pop-up last Saturday, so I continue to try to work with the county to get pop-ups around the city, just to make it as easy as possible for people to get their shots, their boosters, get their flu vaccines if possible. We're also looking at a conceivable pop-up at the ice rink or at the tree lighting that's coming up in the upcoming weeks. Next, I wanted to announce some upcoming events. So tonight is ice skating. The ice skating rink will reopen in downtown Sunnyvale, and so that'll be open from today through January 2nd, and that's in the Macy's parking lot right there along Murphy Avenue near Washington Avenue. And so the ice is frozen. There will be that big celebration tonight. Free skating for those who want to do it. I think it'll be a pretty busy event, so that starts at 5 p.m. tonight. And then this weekend, lots of different events. The Friends of the Sunnyvale Library will have their November book sale. Saturday, it'll be between 10 and 3 p.m. With a members preview, normally that first hour starting at 9 a.m. And then on Sunday, there'll be that $5 bag sale from noon until 3 p.m. So, for $5, you can buy a paper bag and fill it up with whatever fits. So looking forward to that. Sunnyvale Community Services has their craft fair this weekend. So, their auxiliary creates one-of-a-kind gifts, holiday decorations, baked goods. But that's to 3 p.m. at Murphy Park. So that's right there at Murphy Avenue and California Avenue. Definitely go by there if you get a chance. Next Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving. So give thanks. Lots of city facilities those Thursday and Friday. But if you get a chance, give thanks that day. Has not been an easy year or 2 years for that matter. And so it's always good to take stock of where you are and what you can be thankful for. And then that following Saturday, so on Saturday, December 4th, the annual downtown tree lighting will occur. So that'll be right there on Murphy Avenue. There'll be family photos provided by City National Bank. So thank you for them for sponsoring. And then the Caltrain Holiday Train will also return this year, and that will, it varies on whether or not it's here on Saturday or Sunday nights. This time it actually happens on the same evening as the holiday tree lighting. So that's that's good. And for those of you that don't know about the Caltrain Holiday Train, it's pretty amazing. It goes from San Francisco down to Santa Clara over 2 nights, with glittering lights and holiday decorations on highlight all over the train. There'll be singers. There'll be people in costume. It'll be interesting to see. It's also done to collect toys for local children who might not receive a gift during the holidays. So Caltrain partners with the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve for Toys for Tots program and the Salvation Army to make the season a little bit brighter for everyone in need. But the holiday train itself is covered with, I think, about 75,000 lights. So it is pretty amazing to see. There's music and conceivably some snow. But each train stops for about 20 minutes, and so if you want to join and see Santa, Mrs. Claus, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph, definitely drop by that station. And so that will be happening Saturday, Saturday, December 4th at 7:30 p.m. So it'll be from 7:30 to 7:50, and then it'll move on. So uh, get there early. So 5 p.m. will be the tree lighting in downtown, and then not long after will be the holiday light show at the Caltrain station. So go enjoy that. And then as far as upcoming council meetings, we have a special council meeting next Monday afternoon. So that starts, I think, early at 5 p.m. But this is to discuss and give direction on declaring the open seat. Councilmember Fong turned in his resignation a few weeks ago, and it also will give council some feedback and some direction to staff on how we will replace and fill the council member position vacated by Mason. And so there's different things that we could be doing, from a special election to appointment, and then a June election. So we'll be discussing all of that. And then next Monday, that's next Monday, and then the following Tuesday, November 30th, council will look at approving the final design for the Redwood Park at the old AMD campus. So that's a 6.5-acre park. That meeting will start with a presentation from the Office of Housing Services, so from the county office, talking about Bella Vista Hotel, of course, the Crestview Hotel. And so they'll be talking about what the efforts are from a county standpoint and what those projects will look like going forward. And then one of the other things that council will look at is approving a Java Drive road diet in Moffett Park, so making it safer for bicyclists to go through that area as we, trying to make it safer for everyone. Let's go ahead and get to our weekly questions. If you have any questions, please drop them into the chat. Definitely between this and the last meeting, we have a few issues as far as comments and questions, but I'll try to catch them all. Joanne asked, is the ice rink going to be bigger this year? I'm afraid to say it's the same size as it was in 2019. I checked with City Line and went by. It always seems smaller, especially from the outside, and they kind of reconfigured it a little bit. So, but I think people will be happy just to be out on the ice again and enjoying, exercising outside. Let's see. Jonathan asked what's happening in the parking lots downtown. So there's basically several things. One, EV chargers are being installed. So the EV charger, the parking lot at Sunnyvale and Evelyn was closed down for EV chargers, and that installation is now complete. And so if you have an EV, you can charge your EV downtown. You can also go to the community center. We've been adding EVs there, EV charging stations there. And then, of course, the other thing was the Macy's parking lot where they started setting up for the ice rink. And so the ice rink is ready to go. All the tents are up. Everything looks good from what I saw. So happy to see that that's there. Let's see, other questions. Emily asked, I just want to write and say how delighted I am that Murphy Street is still pedestrianized. The car-free environment is a wonderful benefit to the city and the downtown area. Having a safe car-free space is delightful when enjoying meals and visiting with children. I want to encourage the city to make this permanent change and create a safe walking and dining space for the city. How can we keep downtown Murphy closed for pedestrians? So One of the things that is coming up on our upcoming council meeting on December 7th, City Council will review a resolution extending, so this will allow the city manager to continue to allow that extension for temporary outdoor dining on private parking lots, as well as closing the 100 block of South Murphy Avenue until September 30th, 2022. And our plan is to kick off a study issue next year, which should be done by September. And so we'll then have further direction from a city staff standpoint on what we want to do from going forward, just to make sure that we've done everything from a legal standpoint that needs to be done if we decide that keeping that closed is the best thing. Brooke asked what is being built at the corner of Fremont and Manet. So this is the old Trinity United Methodist Church site. So I did go back and look at the plans for that. This was to build 120 beds of senior assisted living at a facility, so that facility will be there. There's also art that will be part of that project. So I think it'll be a nice addition from that standpoint to the city, and something that as we have more aging population, making sure that we provide those facilities is critical at the end of the day. Let's see, do we have any questions? If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I don't see any questions. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for joining me again this week. I continue to be proud of our city, especially over the time of the pandemic and sheltering in place. Residents have really come together to help others in need, donating food, donating clothes, blankets, just pulling together to help their fellow men. So, our future is still uncertain. The winter surge is coming, but hopefully we will not have any issues from our city, from the Bay Area, from California. But in general, there's always new issues that come up almost every day. But your actions really do make a difference. Sunnyvale will emerge from this as a stronger community. We are in this together. We will get through this together. Thanks for listening. Have a good weekend and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Take care. Goodbye.